It's me again, and I've got a great guest. You know how we always talk about getting organized and we talk about getting our environment just the way we want it? Well, I think you're going to appreciate today's guest. Her name is Lisa Harris, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Organize with Lisa was born from Lisa's lifelong love affair with neatness and order. Growing up, she enjoyed organizing her mother's kitchen and bathroom drawers and found tremendous satisfaction in knowing that everything was in its proper place. Throughout her career, that included executive positions with Macy's and Charles Schwab, she learned customer service skills, project management techniques, and all of the things that are essential to success as a professional organizer. By combining this expertise with her personal passion for decluttering, she built a business centered on kindness and compassion, and one that helps individuals and families solve their organizational challenges. Welcome, Lisa Harris. Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
It's so much fun to see you. So we have a mutual friend, Sarah, who says that you changed her life.
Yeah.
And I love that when people say somebody changed their life. So how did you go from Macy's to Charles Schwab to Organize with Lisa? How did this professional organizer thing come to be?
Yeah. I've always had a natural pull towards organizing. And as you said in the intro, even as a little girl, I used to play school, and my desk drawers would always be meticulously organized. Even in my room, I would mess up my drawers just so I could reorganize them again.
God bless.
Yeah. So I didn't realize until 7.5 years ago when I started my business that I could take the strength I had and use it to help so many people. And that's where Organize with Lisa was born.
So what is your typical assignment? What does somebody say like they need help with at this point, right?
The majority of people that come to me share that they are overwhelmed, stressed, burdened. They can't find anything. They're at a place where they are at their wit's end. And many times, clients have shared that they feel embarrassed, ashamed to come to me. And I always like to tell them that we approach you with zero judgment, a lot of kindness, and so much compassion. And I love to celebrate with them that they really did the hardest step, which was making the call.
You're like the Peloton instructor. The moment you clip in, that's the hardest part of the workout is done. You're here.
Totally.
So showing up is half the battle, and acknowledging that you need help is a big deal, right? And so...
Yeah. I like to say that the first step is maybe the most daunting one, but it's also the most powerful one.
So this is like I have an overwhelm in my house and it's a shitstorm or something like that, or I need help understanding where to put things, or all of the above.
Yeah, all the above. We have a 4-step process, which is the decluttering piece is first, then we sort, implement, and maintain. So that's really how we approach every project. And the decluttering piece is where we go through your items, right? And we make decisions, or we ask questions that will help you make those decisions easily. So when was the last time you used this? Do you really need it? Do you want it? Do you love it? Does it fit you? Right? And then so we make zones. I call them zones. Things we're going to keep, the donate zone, and the discard zone.
You and I were talking about your core values, and Organize with Lisa, your website gave me some insights as to what they were, but I wanted you to elaborate to the listeners what they are and how they play into that process, because we talked about the process. I'd like to talk about the core principles first or as well.
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier, our core principles that I really guide my entire business on is kindness and compassion. So, I believe that by sharing kindness with somebody who is in this vulnerable state and a state that doesn't feel good to them, it's just so comforting, and it's just we make them feel at home, at ease. And this is really my guiding principle, is just the act of kindness in such a very fragile state and situation.
Hmm. You know, it's funny. I never, well, because I'm a lot like you. Um, I don't, I can't, I underestimate, I think, as a human, the, the impact that not feeling good in your own skin and feeling that kind of shame or less than, this idea that you're not where you want to be and you don't know how to get out of your own way, how that shows up for people. So, what are I guess I wanted you to elaborate on the reasons that this is so important. And also for other people who might be like me or you that are naturally organized and might walk into somebody's home and see it not that way. And there could be immediate judgment around it. So the reasons that I want you to kind of elaborate on the kindness part and the core values of the way that you approach your projects might be beneficial for the audience to listen to.
When we walk into somebody's home, we see, we see what's in front of us, right? Of course, we see the physical situation, but what we really see is the other side of the project. And so we share with our clients that when you're done with the project with us, you're going to feel a sense of calm. You're going to feel clarity. You're going to be back. One of the biggest goals we have is giving you control back of your spaces, because every client that we meet with, they don't feel that they're in control. And that's not a good feeling. I mean, that has a ripple effect. So we empower them. So not only do we do our 4-step process, but when we're done, we don't leave a client until they say, I got this. And so what that entails is us teaching them how to maintain that space, right? Because we can come in, we could make your space look like a museum, right? But when we leave, it's really up to you now to maintain it. And so we teach and empower them how to do that. And through the process, we get to know that person's likes, dislikes, lifestyle, circumstances. And so it tailors our strategies. Like I say, I could do 500 master bedroom closets, but everyone is different in some way. And so we create the system that works for you. It's not a cookie cutter solution.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to take it one step backwards to see if you approve of my system. I just want to tell you what it is. So in my closet, I go from sleeveless to long sleeve by color. I go from white, like beige, and pink, and light blue, dark blue, purple, literally the Roy G. Biv. Like I do it on the color wheel, and then I end up with black. And then it's medium sleeve, and I do the same thing, white to black. And then I do long sleeve, white to black. Collars, white to black. And then there's a section for tops, there's a section for bottoms, there's a section for skirts, there's a section for suits, workout wear, cycling wear. Okay. So when I wear something, I want to make sure you like this, or you give me a better idea. When I wear something and I know it has another use, I put inside out. So like sometimes you don't want to dry clean something too early because you've only worn it for, let's say, an hour or two, whatever. So I turn it inside out. Once I've worn something, I turn the hanger backwards. So the hanger backwards tells me I've already worn it. At the end of the season, if that was all of those hangers are not turned backwards, whatever is not turned backwards, I get rid of.
I love it. With that being said, not a lot of clients can manage that. That would feel like a lot for a lot of my clients. So I do your system, right? You do your system. So when I was saying before that I tailor the strategy towards each person, what you and I do may seem very overwhelming for not too much work.
So to me, I look at it as compounded interest, Lisa, because if I keep that closet marginally the same in the same place and I continue a system like that, I save time because I don't stand there every morning like, oh my God, I have nothing to wear. Where is that thing? I don't know. I don't know. Where is that thing? I'm not spending my calories looking for stuff. So for me, the ROI is better to just take the time to turn the damn hanger around or turn it inside out than it is for me to have this stress of like, oh, I can't find anything and I don't know what to wear.
Right. So you and I have the skill. We have a skill, not everybody has that skill. So my clients that come to me do not have the skill, right? So for me to tell them when you wear something, you need to turn your hanger around, you need to organize it by the color of the rainbow, by sleeveless, short sleeve, long sleeve, that is exasperating for them, right? So this is what I evaluate in the consultation. So for instance, I work with a lot of neurodivergent clients, okay, with ADD, ADHD. That population needs a very, very simple solution because their brains process things differently than other brains.
So what would you tell that brain, that person, with the same, like, okay, you're going to go through the seasons and at some point you're going to do a closet shift for the seasons.
So what I would tell them is, why don't we start just organizing by color? Not by short sleeve, long sleeve, sleeveless, tank tops, sweaters, pants, just by color. And how does that feel to you? And some will know right away, that feels great. And some may say, others that seem a little more iffy, I'll say, why don't you live with it for a couple of weeks and see how it feels? And then if it doesn't feel good, I come back and we tweak it. Because the beautiful thing about organizing is there's no one size fits all. It's based on you. And some clients like beautiful. They want their closets to look beautiful. They want to walk in and feel like they're in a boutique. And others want it, need it, purely functional. They just need to know where their long sleeve tops are. They don't care how it looks. I do say one of my mantras is practical over pretty, and pretty's a bonus because practical is always going to get you to your goal. So for some clients, we just need them to find their long sleeve shirts.
Yes, they need to get dressed in the morning. Nobody walks out naked with Lisa around.
And a lot of my clients, like I just met with one yesterday, she said to me, we were in her closet and she said, I just cycle through the same 5 or 6 outfits every week because I can't find anything, because nothing is organized, nothing is sorted. And she said, it's just easy. It's just easy. I hate being in my closet. And I mean, look, as women, our closet should be one of our favorite spaces to be in.
It's one of my favorite spots in my house. It's absolutely, this office and my closet are 2 of my favorite spaces.
Yes. And when your closet too doesn't make sense and there's no flow to it, it brings up a lot of emotions. There's so many mental things associated with clutter. It brings up feelings of, we have anxiety, we have feelings of sadness, frustration, overwhelm. Why can't I do this? This should be easy. It's a domino effect. It goes into relational stress. It goes into, when we can't find something, especially in our kitchen, our office. What do we do? What do our clients do? They go out and they purchase another one because it's easy.
Yeah, so I think it's funny. We were talking when we were chatting about doing this podcast. I said to you, we're kind of aligned in the sense that my seventh secret in my book is environment. And I always like to say a cluttered space is a cluttered brain. If you have a cluttered space around you, you're going to feel a little. I want you to unpack the idea, the cost of disorganization as you've seen it.
I think the best way I can answer that is with a story. I recently had a client, a busy professional woman, who reached out to me. She shared that her house is cluttered. Every space in her house is cluttered. It was not one room was being used for its intended purpose. She was fighting with her husband. She was fighting with her kids because when you're in a cluttered environment, you feel, like I said, you're frustrated. You can't get out of your head. You're angry. How did I get here? How did it get to this point? Right? You don't eat well. You don't sleep well. In the kitchen, a lot of people who have cluttered kitchens, they either stop cooking altogether. This client shared with me that she lost her interest in cooking, and she used to love to cook. She has a busy job, and so and her family was feeling the same thing. They were feeling stressed. They couldn't find she shared that her kids couldn't find their school supplies. They couldn't find their soccer stuff. It was just nothing. There was no flow. There was no systems in any room. She even shared that she, couldn't sleep well. Her judgment was off. Her clarity was off. Just all sorts of negative emotions going on that clutter brings. There's so much research on this now.
Yeah, there really is. How do belief systems play into people's success or failure at living in an organized manner, in your opinion?
Huge. So there's the belief system of scarcity, right? A scarcity mindset, one coming from lack. This population feels they like to keep things, and I'm putting in quotes now, just in case I might need it one day. This category of clutter is one I see all the time. It's a big one. And the I might need it one day clutter really almost never, you never need it, almost never. So they may say things like, I'm not a naturally organized person, or I'm just messy. So it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Conversely, when you have a belief system of empowerment and growth, you can see your situation as one that you want to learn and grow from, right? So you can say, all right, I live in a cluttered space. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't serve me. I want to make a change. And so they either do one of two things. They seek out resources to teach themselves the skill, or they reach out to a professional organizer who helps, guides, and teaches them through the process of learning. And so these two belief systems, clearly they're polar opposites, but they have very different impacts on your mindset.
Isn't that interesting that, yes. So thank you for that and elaborating on that point. I feel like belief systems are at the heart of all of our successes and failures. We have the ability to rise beyond our own expectations if we have those expectations, or we can we can utterly fail. Also, depending on what you've decided that your brain should focus on. Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty?
That's right. I have a life coach, and she'll, we're all on this journey, right? And she'll say to me, when did you make the decision that ... We're all there. I mean, we're all there.
So I talk about talking to yourself in the third person, which I'll share with you as a little secret of mine. So instead of saying, oh, you're so stupid or you're so dumb, I can't believe you're so messy, I can't believe you're so lazy, whatever the judgment name is, because you would never speak to your best friend like that. You
Right.
spoke to your best friend the way you speak to that sometimes we all speak to ourselves. We wouldn't have a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always important to be your own best friend, because when you're there, who's got your back every step of the way? You do. So
Right.
treat yourself, appropriately. And so this trick I learned it from LeBron James, actually. So LeBron James is masterful at the mindset. He's a meditation expert. He's very much into self empowerment. He's very aware. He's a very evolved human being, especially for an athlete of his ilk. And when he made the decision to leave the Cavaliers to go to the Miami Heat, he said, "I don't want to make an emotional decision. I want to make the decision that's going to make LeBron James happy and be what LeBron James needs." And so he took himself out of the conversation and referred to himself as LeBron James so that he would have that third party impartiality and had this ability to express why he made a decision. And so when you're stuck and you're in a place where you're really tough, tell your clients to think about themselves in that third person as if they were talking to their friend. Lisa, you've got this. You're working on it. You're doing great. Keep at it. You'll get it. Or instead of you're so whatever, and then, it becomes easier. Lisa, you're doing so well. Keep it up. Lisa. So it becomes this conversation that you have with yourself in a positive way. 80% of our thoughts are negative. So we have to overcome this predisposition to negative speak.
I love that.
So what would you tell your 30-year-old self, knowing what you know, Lisa Harris, today?
I would tell her, be bold. Get out of your comfort zone. I love it. There it is. I see the word bold. Get out of your comfort zone and be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Making mistakes, where I'm at now, I see them, although they're not fun when they're happening, they're a gift. They're a gift because that's where the biggest growth and learning comes from. It's from our mistakes. And so now when it happens, I would say to her, great, you mean mistake. What'd you learn?
Right. That's brilliant. What'd you learn?
Yeah.
What did you learn? So I have a theory. People talk about imposter syndrome a lot. And my theory is if you don't have some level of imposter syndrome, you're not stretching yourself enough. If you don't have some level of discomfort or a lot of discomfort, you're just coasting and you're never going to learn a gosh darn thing. Think about that. And that's something also too important. If you're comfortable with what I'm giving you to do moving forward, this maintenance, right? Lisa makes your space beautiful and now you have to maintain it and it not go backwards to where you were before she came in the door. It's uncomfortable. You got to be okay with that. That's where you grow. That's where you learn. That's where you become a better version of yourself.
That's right. And I try to, share that with my kids now too, as young adults, which is not everything may fall into place as exactly as you want it, when you want it, how you want it. And, it's hard to hear that as a 20-something, especially today. But in the end, they're going to take that with them and grow from it. And each one, each of these little, not setbacks, but, they help you, they move you forward, they move the needle forward towards growth. And that's just the journey we're all on, is moving the needle forward.
That's awesome. That plays one into the other, this idea, right? So, the discomfort, the failures, if there are some. And again, our kids grew up in the era of everybody gets a trophy, which I don't agree with, by the way. That's another conversation for a different day. The idea that you must have failure in order to learn. Because if everything's coming up roses, the moment you have a setback, you don't even know what to do with yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes my dad would say to me, what'd you fail at today?
Really? Aw.
And then it's, and he took that as an opportunity to, have a teaching moment with his little girl and, share some life lessons with me. And I'll never forget that.
That's awesome. My dad was quite the opposite. My dad would say, I would come home with a 99 on my report card. He'd say, what happened to the extra point? Anyway, what are you going to do? But we both, so I want you to just summarize what you want the audience to have with them as a result of having you with us today. What do you want them to take away? What do you want them to know or do or be with?
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind is just, I can't stress enough that experiences enrich our lives, not stuff. The experiences we have will stay with us a lifetime, right? They're never going away, but your stuff comes and goes, right? The latest and greatest trend, the latest and greatest anything, that's so temporary. But a great experience that you have, that lives in your heart forever. And so I like to, for my clients that are shoppers, I like to try to really focus and share with them about gifting themselves with experiences instead. And I will parlay that into another thing I'd love to leave your listeners with, which is that you need to consider organizing as a form of self-care, okay? We go and we get, the typical things, the massage, the manicure, the pedicure, and we don't often think of organizing as a form of self-care. Absolutely, positively, it is that. It gives you more mental clarity, calm, control, and it directly impacts your mental health and well-being. So I really, really encourage people to, start small, right? You have a space, an area that's challenging to you, start small, progress over perfection, right? Organizing is not about perfection. It's about tackling one small space at a time on your way to the goal and being sure to celebrate your wins along the way.
Yay. That was great. Thank you. That was such a masterclass in organizational behavior. I like organization is a form of self-care. That's the quote for the day. Thank you so much, Lisa Harris. We appreciate you. Hey, everybody, make it a great day. Don't forget, organization is a form of self-care, and be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Possibilities with Monique Maio, where we unpack life as a female mover and shaker. If you like the show, please consider liking it, or better still, subscribing to it and leaving us a rating. It truly does help. Also, you can pick up my book, The 7 Secrets to Creating a Life You Love, a practical guide for women in leadership. You can find the book, other episodes of this podcast, and how to stay in touch at moniquedemaio.com. DEMAIO. I look forward to seeing you again soon. With gratitude, Monique.